Welcome to Lead with Hope, the podcast where we explore the power of hope, leadership, and resilience in today's world. I'm Brandi Kelly, and each week I will bring you stories, insights, and actionable advice from leaders, innovators, and change makers who are using hope as their compass to navigate challenges, create positive impact, and inspire others to do the same. Whether you're a seasoned leader or just beginning your journey, this podcast is here to remind you that no matter the obstacle, hope is the fuel that can drive transformation. So, let's dive in and discover how you can lead with hope. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lead with Hope podcast. All right, and today I am honored to welcome Jack Kessinger, and he is a former CEO student. He grew up in Carlinville, Illinois. He attended Mizzou, went there for 3.5 years, and now he is working in St. Louis in the financial services industry. So welcome to the show today, Jack.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Brandi. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's dive right in. Why don't you tell us something unique about yourself, your story, experiences, knowledge, whatever you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, my story is a little unique where COVID was a pretty big factor in, I would say, some pretty important years of my life. Growing up in Carlinville, being a part of a small town, you kind of have that small knit community already. And then my senior year of high school was when COVID hit and no one exactly knew what was going on, whether you were, someone younger in school or, older and working. No one really knew what to expect with that. That was also the same time that I started college. So, like you said, I went to University of Missouri, MIZ. And, that first year was really challenging because being from a small town, going to an out-of-state college. It is a huge university, but it kind of feels, you got to make some friends, and it's a little harder with COVID and those challenges and everything. So, getting through that part of my life, and really just those couple of years of transition from being a kid, I like to say, to kind of leaning into that young adulthood, ultimately figuring out what you want to do with your life and the people that you're going to stay close to yourself. That was definitely a challenge, but it definitely taught me a lot and helped me really, grow up quicker than maybe I expected,
Yeah.
all for good reason. But, that was a huge challenge, and for not just myself, but really anyone else in my shoes and anyone else listening to this. I'm sure everyone has their own experience with it. But the fact that that fell in the middle of some of the really important years,
Yeah.
huge years of my life was definitely, eye-opening and really learned a lot from it.
Yeah, COVID, I am sure, is something that has shaped everybody a little bit differently, but it's a trauma. It's a challenge, an obstacle, something that I'm sure you have worked hard to overcome. And during that time, you chose the CEO program. You chose that entrepreneurial program that Macoupin County offers. Can you tell the listeners why you decided to embark on that journey, especially
Yeah,
during COVID?
yeah, absolutely. Well, before I joined the CEO program, COVID wasn't necessarily prevalent quite yet, but I'll kind of get into that in a little bit. But really, whenever I was looking at the CEO program, I think what really stuck out to me was this was an out of the classroom experience. And I think for anyone listening, sometimes it can be hard sitting in a classroom and in the same building for 8 hours a day, so on and so forth. I really was looking forward to just getting out of the classroom to learn. Um, I was interested in maybe the business aspect of the CEO program. That wasn't necessarily the main drive for me. Really, what I wanted to get out of it was just learning how to network with people and just grow those relationships, how to
Mhm.
interact with people, how to grow close relationships, really dive into who someone is versus who someone isn't. And I think the CEO program was a really good opportunity to, like I said, get out of the classroom, but also to go out and meet a lot of the local leaders within the county, people who are business owners, because hey, you never know what connections you that might grow fruitful in the future. Whether you stay in the county after high school or not, you may need employment somewhere. So meeting some potential employers, but not only that, learning how to talk in an interview process or just grow connections in general, regardless of what you do with your life. I felt like those were really key factors that the CEO program was going to teach me that not necessarily high school would have taught me as well as the CEO program has.
Yeah. Relationships are at the core of everything that we do. We have to be able to connect with people and build those relationships. And I know now with the CEO program, actually next week, I'm getting ready to go and work with some students. We're going to do the Enneagram assessment. We're going to do the
Mhm.
DISC profile and really dive into some self-assessment to better understand what makes you tick, what fuels your passion, what are your strengths, and to help you to develop those skills and those strengths that are going to help you network or are
Mhm.
going to help you to be successful in the future. When you started during COVID, were you able to do those kinds of things, Jack?
Yeah, I would say, in the class we started doing that. It's kind of a little backstory for,
Yeah.
I guess my process through the program is, we joined and we started doing a lot of meetings within the county, met a lot of the local business owners.
Mhm.
We actually developed our class business, which
Mhm.
that was a huge way. That was a big takeaway I had from the program was how to collaborate with people in order to plan like a huge event. Not only that, just like a business in general. A lot of the stuff that goes on, you don't recognize maybe all the planning and behind the scenes work that needs done to
Mhm.
make something happen.
Yeah.
Let alone, setting up this podcast and preparing for that is a good example. But, COVID really hit before we dove into our individual businesses.
Mhm.
So I would say I was able to learn and get a good, guess how do I want to say this? I was able to network and learn how to network with people before COVID hit. And
Mhm.
then when COVID hit was when we were going to actually utilize the skills and the networking and everything we've learned and actually like apply that to real life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That business portion of the program is a great opportunity to not only better understand who you are, but how you work in teams and how to market things and just some skills that I'm sure have been transferable for you now that you're working in the financial services industry. But could you tell us a little bit about the impact that the CEO program has had on you in your professional life?
Wow. I mean, it has had an immense impact, which is why, whenever Scott and Brandi came to me about doing a podcast, I was so excited to do it because of the impact that the CEO program has had on my life. And I would love to share my story with anyone else that is even thinking about doing the program. So like I said, once I went to college, the relationships I had with some of the mentors was actually super influential in helping me guide myself in my career. I honestly went to college not really wanting to be in the financial services industry at all. I actually wanted to be a dentist originally.
Oh, wow.
And after a few weeks of classes, maybe it was the online classes I didn't like or whatever, but I learned that science wasn't necessarily for me. And I was more of a numbers nerd. But not only that, but I loved people.
Yeah.
And I think the CEO program really opened my eyes to I love talking and connecting with people. Not
Mhm.
only that, but I want to help people in whatever way that I can as well.
Yeah.
So whenever I put my head together, I realized, okay, well, I love numbers, I love people. I kind of put the two together and found this career path for myself. And so I remember whenever I started really diving into this career path, Scott had actually Scott and I had always texted back and forth, just checking in on me, and he was a connection that I've always had. And he actually had a financial advisor at the time, and so whenever he learned that I was interested in going down the field, he was like, "Hey, let me, at least maybe connect you with him. You can maybe pick his brain, that sort of thing." And I was actually in need of an internship, so I was, obviously, of course, interested in talking to someone who literally is doing has been doing what I want to be doing for, last couple of decades.
Right.
So I talked to this guy named Aaron Stewart, and he works at the America Group in St. Louis, which, if you don't know by now, that's where I've been working for a little over a year now. And I remember talking to him, and I just really kind of fell in love with, his story and the process that they have here, where I ended up getting an internship. Internship turned into a job. Little do I know, Aaron Stewart is a huge mentor for me, not only professionally, but also in my faith as well.
Mhm.
So the CEO program opened a lot of doors for me to meet some really influential people today in my life. And really what I've learned, the CEO program also taught me was you want to surround yourself with like-minded people, but also people that or maybe a little bit ahead of you with where you want to go to help challenge you and to help push you in a positive way, so that you're always improving,
Yeah,
not to really stay stagnant or anything like that. So, the
that's
CEO program, it's really the connections that I made there that opened a lot of doors to a lot of different people.
yeah.
Everyone knows a lot of people, and sometimes they overlap, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's that, hey, my friend of a friend of a friend, it's those sorts of connections that really can mean the most to you.
Yeah, and you talked a little bit about Scott, shout out to Scott. He is president of our CEO board, and he is a champion for this
Mhm.
program. He is somebody that really gets out there and hustles and shares the great things that happened because of and through this program. But it's about those relationships, and that's great advice that you gave, Jack, about, you know, surrounding yourself with a circle of people that are going to support you, lift you up, encourage you, but also challenge you and hold you accountable. That's where the magic happens. And I'm so happy that through the CEO program, you have found that in your profession now. But, some of the people that may be listening to this, they may be juniors in high school and they're on the fence. And we know that there's a lot of options when you're looking at your schedule and you can't fit everything into your schedule. So, what advice or what wisdom might you be able to share with them to help them understand what they would get out of the CEO program if they chose this over maybe one of those other options and why this option is a valuable one?
Yeah, absolutely. First thing I would say is I think the CEO program, when people hear the word CEO, they think of, chief executive officer, someone who's in charge of a huge business and makes really big, important decisions.
Yeah.
While that's true, that's not necessarily, I think, what the CEO program is all about.
Hmm.
Yes, it is business oriented, where you're going to meet business owners. You're going to learn how to develop a business together with your classmates and also develop an individual business. But I would say, if you're not interested in becoming a business owner or anything regarding business,
Hmm.
still join, because I think there's a lot of value with learning how to become a better professional. And that's regardless if you go to college, you go to trade school, you do whatever. Learning how to become a better professional and someone who just learn a lot of positive skills with communication and even marketability. All these things matter, whatever that you do. And so that's something I would really encourage people to consider is, regardless of what you think you might be doing in the future, the CEO program will assist you in a lot of different ways.
Oh, yeah. That's
The
great.
other thing I would say with that is, this is an opportunity where I know it's kind of cliche to say, but it really is something where the more you put in, the more you're going to get out, sort of thing. There's a lot of opportunity there at your grasp if you really want to take it and run with it. But
Mhm.
also, if you just kind of want to go through the motions, the results of that's probably going to be a result of the work that you put in. So,
Yeah.
I think if you're someone who's serious about just wanting to better yourself right now, but also in the future, the CEO program will 100% teach you a lot of important skills for whatever avenue you choose to do with your life after high school.
Hmm. Yeah. Very well said. Now, when you are thinking about the CEO program and where you are now, what are some maybe CEO inspired passions that you still have in your life or things that, you do each and every day and you think back and you're like, ooh, I remember when. And just through that process of reflection, it's kind of something that because of the CEO program, you're doing some of the things you're doing today.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I use my skills from CEO every day of really every day that I work. My whole career is built upon a relationship. So whenever I sit down and meet with people, I'm building a connection with people. I'm learning about them. I'm learning about their goals and aspirations and learning, how can I be the bridge to those things?
Yeah.
And the CEO program, I've always been sort of an extrovert in general, but I would say I'm more of an introverted extrovert, where naturally I'm good and social, but in all reality, I might actually like kind of being by myself and more introverted sometimes. So I would say the CEO program has taught me how to really communicate well with people in order to understand what people truly want and need. And so whenever I'm having a conversation with someone and I'm truly like building that relationship with them, um, I always think back the CEO program helped me really do that.
Yeah. I love that focus on relationships, Jack. That is at the heart of everything that I've done over the past 2 decades in education as an educational leader, and now what I'm doing in Spark Hope EDU. But the focus on relationships and connection, I think we need that in our world now more than ever. So that's a perfect segue to my next question, which is, this is the Lead with Hope podcast. So I have to ask you, what's giving you hope right now in the world?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Whenever I was kind of preparing for, talking on this podcast, I saw that question. I was really thinking about it. And, I think ultimately what it comes down to is what's given me hope is seeing a lot of young people around my age, the younger generation, ultimately just kind of taking control of their life,
Yeah.
which I think is a huge component of the CEO program. I think a lot of people can say what they want about Gen Z and everyone following. I think there's obviously a lot that we can work on. I won't lie. But I think there's also a lot of motivation for myself, who's someone who's really trying to take control of my life and do really good things for not only myself and my community, but it's whenever you're seeing other people do that, man, that's so motivating to see that. Kind of goes back to my other point where it's super important to surround yourself with people that are chasing after similar things that you are and can help motivate you. And when times are tough, you can really communicate with each other and say, hey, what can we do different? It's hard whenever you're surrounding yourself with people, whether it's intentional or not, because I've caught myself doing it a lot too, where people are just kind of stagnant going through the motions of life. I'll tell you what, some days I kind of do that sometimes. But it's the days and the people that help you get out of that hole.
Right.
Seeing those people in your life, that's what really gives me hope, is that there are people out there that really want a lot of good things for themselves and have the motivation and the passion to help themselves do that, but also can help me do that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that just the idea of, the different generations in the CEO program working
Mhm.
together.
Yeah.
Um, you have people in high school, obviously, in the CEO program, but then the mentors that come alongside them, they may be in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe even 60s. I don't know. But just working together and sharing that knowledge, because I do believe we're better together. And the more we can
Absolutely.
collaborate and work together through relationships, the better our future is going to look and the more hope I have for our future. So that is, again, great advice. As we're wrapping up this podcast, Jack, if there are students or people that just want to learn more about your experience in the CEO program, would you be open to them connecting with you? And if so, how could they do that?
Yeah. Oh, I would love connecting with, anyone that's interested in hearing more about my story or just simply, needs a friend to vent to. I would say a good way is my firm's website, theamericagroup.com. You can find my contact there, and, my phone number and everything's on there as well. That's a good spot. And then also on social media, I have my own LinkedIn, which I think I sent a link into. Then on Instagram, I have my own profile as well. I'm starting to develop sort of a business oriented Instagram account as well. So I would say, the website's a good spot to find like an email or contact information for me. And then on social media, LinkedIn's also a good option.
Okay. So I have one more question for you. I'm just
Mhm.
curious. What is something special about you? Something that lights you up, brings you joy in your life?
Mm, it's a good question. I gotta think about that.
For me, I
Um,
will tell you, I love quotes, I love
okay.
coffee, and I love to travel. But
Okay.
the main thing for me that lights me up are I have three grandsons.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness, they have my heart. So before the show, when you started talking about your grandma a little bit,
Yep.
oh, talk about joy.
Yep.
Grandkids bring us joy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean, my family's a huge part of my life. I'm very blessed to have two amazing parents that, are happily married, and I have a great younger brother as well, and I give him a hard time, but he's really a huge, reason for me trying to be a better person too, because as the older brother, you got to be the example and not make the dumb decisions, not as many dumb decisions, hopefully, for him to look at. But I would say that I'm a huge coffee guy as well. I'm really weird about when it's like the winter time.
Hmm.
I could drink like so much black coffee with maybe a little creamer in it.
Yeah.
But then once it gets warm, it's summertime, give me like an iced latte with a lot of milk,
Yeah.
all the syrups and sugar. I mean, it's funny, but I'm a huge coffee person. And then some quotes that I've always kind of lived by. I try to live by. I don't do a good job at it every day, but I think the first thing, and I'm not even sure who said this to be honest, but it's just a saying of, you know, failing to plan is planning to fail.
Yep.
And I think regardless of what you're doing in your life, if you don't have a plan, it doesn't have to be a super detailed plan, but
Right.
if you don't have an idea of or a vision of where you want to be in the future, what are you striving for? What are your efforts every day really worth if they're not, really going towards something in the future? So
Yeah.
that's a good one. And then I wrote down something else too that I think is a really big one that I've really lived after myself.
Hmm.
And it says people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Yep.
And I think that's super important because in this world, I think we're so focused on, catching that next accomplishment, or hey, I want to graduate high school, which is a great accomplishment. I want to go to college, graduate college. I want to get this job. I want to make X amount of money. I want to, we have these goals in life, which are super important. I'm not trying to discredit any of these.
Right.
But ultimately, I think what truly matters is going back. I've talked about relationships.
Yep.
Relationships is what matters and how you make people feel,
Yep.
and it's something where, ultimately when I'm not on this earth anymore, what are people going to remember me by? People might remember me by what I did for my work. I don't know, but I hope people remember saying, Jack was a light to this world. Jack was someone that I could go to and talk to and trust. And he just, every time I saw him, it made me feel a little warmer inside. Those are the things that truly matter to me is the connections that I make with people. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that's what I would
Yeah.
say.
I love both of those quotes. And the first one, I don't know who originally said it, but I know Jillian Michael says that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
It's pretty popular. So I don't know who to give
Yeah, I
ultimate
know.
credit to.
But it's true. We have to have a plan, and that's why I created the Lead with Hope system. A HOPE system is an acronym for habits, optimistic outlook, purpose, and excellence. And it's
Nope.
just a way that we can grow both personally and professionally through self-reflection, self-awareness, and building that confidence in ourselves. And the other one, the one about, it really doesn't matter because after this conversation, the thing I'm going to remember about you, Jack, is that you give me hope. You give me hope for our future because we have gotten away from the importance of connection and relationships, but that's at the core of who we are as human beings. That's who God created us to be. is
Absolutely.
connected first and foremost to him and then to people, right? We have to care about and take care of each other. And so for that reason, you give me hope. And I can see that the CEO program helped to shape you into the amazing young man that you are today. And I look forward to staying connected with you in the future and seeing the great things that you do in the future. And hopefully through this podcast, somebody will reach out with you to you and you can share more about your story and the CEO program. And this has been a great conversation, Jack, and I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Brandi. It's been great. I haven't really talked about the CEO program too much recently, but it's something where, you know, if people are really interested in it, I would love to share more about it. And being so serious and saying the skills that I learned are so transferable to whatever it is that you want to do. And like you said, God made us not to go through this earth alone. If
Right.
you think about, you're meant to become married, and you're meant to, hopefully develop a family, and whatever job you do, you have coworkers and a boss maybe, and any aspect of your life, there's always other people there, and
Mhm.
so it's easy to maybe isolate yourself. So, yeah, join the CEO program. That's what I'd say.
So amazing. And I think, just that idea of living in community and helping each other to get better each and every day. It's a process, right? It's not an event, it's a process, and we get better over time through trial and error, through a lot of mistakes. But the journey is where we find the joy. So you
Hmm.
have definitely been a light in my day today. So thank you again for coming on the show. And
Yeah.
I'll stay in touch.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Brandi.
Yep. Thanks for tuning in to Lead with Hope, where we share stories and strategies to help you rise, lead, and redefine what's possible. If today's episode inspired you, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and leave a review. Your support helps us reach more leaders like you who are ready to lead with heart, purpose, and resilience. Don't forget to visit sparkhopeedu.com for resources, upcoming events, and tools to help you build a culture of hope in your life and leadership. We're so grateful to be part of your journey. Until next time, keep leading with hope.